We walk upon a thin, fragile crust, oblivious to the inferno that rages just miles beneath our feet. This molten core, the planet's ancient engine, seeks ceaselessly to escape. A volcano is not a mere mountain. It is a rupture in our reality, a valve to hell. But could this fiery heart truly unleash a chaos so vast, so complete, that it signals the final chapter for life on Earth? We tend to categorize volcanoes as local disasters. Their names evoke destruction, yet the damage seems contained, the disaster eventually receding. This perceived safety is the grandest deception. Volcanoes are not merely holes in the ground. They are the most primal expression of our planet's power, forces that have shaped continents, ended epochs, and orchestrated mass extinctions throughout deep time. Tonight, we move past the local disaster to explore the global nightmare, the true, unimaginable threat hidden in the Earth's subterranean rage. The most profound threat to global stability comes not from the familiar, cone-shaped mountains, but from a terrifying, hidden entity, the supervolcano. Unlike traditional volcanoes, a supervolcano doesn't build a peak. It is a colossal subterranean magma chamber that lies hidden beneath the surface, often identified only by a vast, subtle depression known as a caldera. These giants erupt on timescales measured in hundreds of thousands of years, but when they do, the eruption is measured by the sheer volume of material ejected, shattering all known records. Their awakening is the key to global destruction, a potential cataclysm that dwarfs every recorded human conflict. To understand a supervolcano's power, we must look at the volcanic explosivity index. Most human-recorded eruptions peak around VI 6 or 7. A supervolcano event is not just slightly larger. It is an explosion that ejects over 1,000 cubic kilometers of material. Imagine covering an entire continent under a deep blanket of ash. The scale is impossible to comprehend. A VI8 eruption at Yellowstone, for example, would excavate a crater potentially 100 kilometers wide, covering the entire western half of the United States in a toxic cloud of volcanic debris, instantly rendering it uninhabitable. The power released is a geological nightmare, a true sign of the planet's latent fury. The immediate force of the explosion is only the beginning. The greatest global danger lies not in the lava, but in the ash cloud. This massive plume of fine pulverized rock and gases would be injected miles high into the stratosphere, encircling the globe within weeks. This ash cloud would act as a massive, opaque shield, reflecting the sun's energy back into space. The result would be a rapid, catastrophic drop in global temperatures, a phenomenon known as the volcanic winter. This is the first step toward planetary destruction, a period of perpetual twilight, plunging the world into months, possibly years, of chilling darkness. The volcanic winter would trigger the collapse of civilization as we know it, primarily through a total failure of agriculture. With sunlight levels drastically reduced, photosynthesis would virtually cease. Global temperatures would plummet, causing widespread, perennial frosts in the world's major grain-producing regions. The resultant famine, driven by this failed harvest, would be the true mechanism of global destruction. Food reserves would quickly deplete, trade would collapse, and the struggle for surviving resources would erupt into global chaos, making the initial explosion seem like a merciful event. The eruption cloud is not just ash. It contains staggering volumes of sulfur dioxide gas. Once in the stratosphere, this gas converts into sulfate aerosols, which is what primarily causes the cooling effect. But as these aerosols fall back to Earth, they precipitate as concentrated acid rain, an invisible, relentless scourge. This rain would acidify oceans, poisoning vast swathes of marine life, and severely damaging essential aquatic ecosystems. On land, it would strip nutrients from the soil, further guaranteeing the destruction of the world's remaining vegetation, leaving behind a scarred, sterile landscape. Yellowstone, a seemingly tranquil national park, sits atop the most studied supervolcano on Earth. It is a terrifying paradox, a landscape of beauty built on the very definition of apocalyptic power. While scientists continuously monitor the subtle movements of the caldera, the exact timing of its next eruption remains a profound, unsettling enigma. The truth is, we have no precedent, no historical analog for a modern VI-8 event. Its last major eruption was 630,000 years ago. Its silence is not assurance. It is merely the terrifying lull before an act of geological creation and destruction on a scale we cannot fathom. Moving beyond the localized threat of a single supervolcano, true world-ending power is found in flood basalt eruptions. These are not single explosions, but sustained, continent-sized volcanic events that last for millions of years, covering thousands of square kilometers in lava. The Siberian Traps eruption, which coincided with the Permian-Triassic extinction event, and the Deccan Traps in India, linked to the dinosaur extinction, were both driven by these colossal, long-term volcanic pulses. They altered the planet's atmosphere and climate so dramatically and permanently that 90% of all life on Earth was wiped out. They are the true, historical extinction engine, proving that volcanoes have indeed destroyed the world multiple times. Could one major volcanic event trigger a chain reaction? While there is no definitive proof, the interconnectedness of the Earth's systems suggests a chilling possibility. A VI-8 eruption could potentially destabilize adjacent fault lines and tectonic plates due to the sudden removal of massive amounts of subterranean pressure, potentially triggering a cascade of earthquakes and secondary volcanic activity along the volatile ring of fire. This would not be a single apocalypse, but a domino effect, a planetary seizure where the Earth's internal forces turn against its surface life, leading to a prolonged period of geological terror. We began by questioning whether volcanoes can destroy the world. The historical record, through the evidence of the flood basalts and the scientific potential of the supervolcano, suggests not only that they can, but that they already have, multiple times. Volcanoes are the planet's pressure release valves, necessary for the recycling of minerals and the continuation of geological life. Yet, in their necessary function, they hold the power to render our brief human chapter irrelevant. They remind us that our existence is fundamentally conditional, dependent upon the uneasy, temporary truce with the vast, ancient, fiery intelligence that lies beneath the ground. The threat is not science fiction, it is geological destiny. The Earth beneath our feet is a ticking clock, its internal rhythm dictated by magma chambers and tectonic plates, not by human calendars. The quiet period we inhabit is merely the longest lull in a cycle of violent creation and destruction. We must acknowledge that the ultimate power rests not with us, but with the planet itself. The deep, hot silence of the Earth is more terrifying than any eruption, for it hides the power that could, in a single cataclysmic instant, extinguish the light of civilization. The universe is full of such beautiful, terrifying forces. What other forces of planetary destruction are quietly brewing beneath the surface of the familiar?